don't think you can lead without telling stories. And I have a hard time honestly thinking of a leader who doesn't use story as part of his or her toolkit. It comes naturally to human beings to tell stories. We are storytelling animals. I have to say too here, parenthetically, that for all we know, other animals tell stories too. We simply haven't got the means to interpret what they're saying and how they're saying it. But I do think we have a natural inclination to make sense of the way the world works and the way our world works, what we've done, what we are currently doing, what we hope to do through story. Story grounds the ambition, grounds the intent, and makes it concrete for the person or persons to whom you're speaking. So it's fundamental to leadership to tell stories. Good leaders tell good stories. Bad leaders tell bad stories. And so, of course, then you need to go to the place where you say, all right, so what makes a good story? What makes a bad story? And for me, a good story does have very specific features, so it involves people, specific players, actors, a place, a time, circumstances, all of which get identified, however briefly, and then you develop the story in a way that makes clear the stakes and what you hope to do, what you hope to see those people do, and then follows through to some sort of a resolution. But I also would argue that a good story has an element in it that keeps people constantly coming back and constantly looking for the meaning. So you can determine short term what has happened, what's happening, what should happen, but if the story works really well, it will also constantly bring you back or invite you to come back to reinterpret. And that matters a great deal because the simple answer that comes from a story that doesn't have the kind of complexity that we're talking about makes people err in serious ways. And that's something I think a good leader wants to avoid. I'd also say that someone who leads well and tells the story that helps him or her lead well has listened, and we heard this in the conference yesterday from Jackie, specifically the idea that you need to listen. A good story emerges from the listening process as much as it does from the telling process, and someone who leads well, who tells a good story, does so because that listening piece, hearing what the audience for the story might think, might want to express, that has to be central to what happens in the storytelling process.